Let's talk some baseball. Welcome in former MLB Executive of the Year and CBS Sports baseball insider Jim Bowden. Wild game in Oakland where the A's rallied to win their 11th in a row. Down by 2 in the 10th, the A's walk off against the Twins without getting a hit in the inning. What's your reaction to how that game played out?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, sloppy game defensively. And for the Minnesota Twins, I mean, they just gave the game away. And Luis Reyes throwing that one ball away to end the ball game. But this was a well-fought game. And, you know, we've never seen in the history of baseball a team start the year 0-6 and then win 11 games in a row. In any time during the season, it's never happened. But this Oakland team, look, they've got great power. Mark Cannon doing a good job in the leadoff spot. Look at this blunder here by Minnesota. I mean, you got to be able to catch the ball here. But Matt Olson hitting a couple home runs in this game. Matt Chapman swinging the bat well. Jed Lowry's been a big story. But this is a game where Minnesota just gave it away. There it is, the throw to end the game. Laureano getting on base. Winning run comes to the plate here. This was a wild game in extra innings here. But Oakland, boy, you talk about red hot. They've gone from last to first over the last 11 games. And, yep, this is a good team. And I think this week when you look at what happened with their pitching staff, Jesus Luzardo finally had a good start, looked really good after a couple of rough starts. Cole Irvin had 2 bad starts. He had a great start. Sean Manaea was phenomenal last time out. So they're getting starting pitching. They're getting the timely hitting thanks to the middle of the order of Lowry, Olson, and Chapman. And, of course, we know they've got Leather at first, third, and center field, and that's been a difference maker for them.
Yeah, put the ball in play, good things can happen. That's what my Little League coach always used to tell us. This is pretty spectacular, right? The A's started the season 1-7, and I thought they were going to be terrible. Like, I thought they were going to be at the bottom of the AL West. They've since won 11 in a row. What do you make of this stark turnaround to the start of the season?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a bizarre start for baseball with all of the injuries, the amount of star players hitting under 200. You know, I think people underestimated coming off that truncated season and then starting in cold weather that, you know, it's going to be different to get these guys going. These guys didn't play baseball last April, and we're seeing a lot of inconsistencies around the league. For Oakland, they got off to a bad start. You know, the starters weren't getting the job done. That first 6 or 7 games, Olson wasn't hitting, Chapman wasn't hitting, and then all of a sudden the light switched and the opposite now has happened, and the bullpen's been really good as well. So they're a well-rounded team. Look, the West is going to be wild this year. I don't think there's any doubt. The last place Astros have a really good chance of winning this division. The Angels are legitimate for the first time. I think it's going to be a really close race. And the Mariners are young, they're exciting, and they've got 3 young rookie stars that are going to make their big league appearance this year. Jared Kelenic, Julio Rodriguez, the 2 outfielders, and Logan Gilbert, who will be the first one of the big leagues in a couple of weeks. Those 3 guys will make Seattle interesting in the second half. So I don't see any of the teams here running away with it. I really don't. I think it's going to be a really fun race with Houston, the Angels, Athletics, and Mariners all being relevant.
Well, meantime, the Twins throw away a game, literally. With that loss to the A's, the Twins are tied with the Yankees for the worst record in the American League. Jim, the Yankees are 6-11. There are 145 games left, so there's plenty of time. But Yankee fans want results right now, and they should be better than they are. They look less like contenders and more like pretenders each and every day. From a GM's perspective, what's the message to Yankee fans right now?
Well, Brian Cashman did it on Monday, which said, I believe in this team. We're going to stick with it. We're going to get them going. I mean, look, you're not going to have Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres, Clint Frazier, Aaron Hicks. You're not going to have these guys struggle all year. They're going to get hot. When they get hot, they'll get on a winning streak, just like Oakland has just been on a winning streak. This should be a good offensive team. You know, I think the one part of this team that worries me, and I said it in March, is the starting pitching after Garrett Cole. There's a lot of question marks. I mean, Kluber was okay today, but he hasn't really done much in 3 years. I don't know if his arm's going to hold up. I do like Jameson Taillon, but I'd like to see Herman and Devi Garcia in this rotation. I think Montgomery's getting better, but he's a back of the rotation starter anyway. So that's the area of the team that I'm concerned the most about. And they have a great bullpen, but right now they got to overuse the bullpen because the starters aren't going deep. But I will say this, and as much as I like this team's not getting back to the postseason or the World Series if they're not changes that are made. And if I'm Brian Cashman, I said this last night on CBS Sports HQ, I am talking to Jeff Bridich, the GM of the Rockies, every single day. And I'm going to find a way to get Trevor Story as a free agent at the end of the year. I'm going to find a way to get Herman Marquez from him. And if I can't get Marquez, I'll get John Gray. Because Gray and Story would change these Yankees. And I think they need to be shaken up a little bit. I think there's a lot of guys in this clubhouse that just feel like, oh, you can just be there if you don't produce. You watch Gleyber Torres tonight in that check swing. He didn't hustle. Aaron Boone, the manager, was pissed after the game. And he should be. You're losing like this, and you're not hustling. And sometimes it takes a jolt. And look, I wouldn't be afraid if I were Brian Cashman to trade Gleyber Torres to the Rockies for Trevor Story and John Gray. I would do it tomorrow. I really would. I think they could sign Story long term. But I think if you want the Yankees to head in the right direction, I do think Brian Cashman at some point has to shake this club up with a blockbuster.
I'll offer you a deal right now because I know he's eventually going to be a Yankee anyway. I'll take Gleyber, Clint Frazier, and then how about even though I know he's not playing well right now, give me Aaron Hicks, and I'll give you Shane Bieber because he's eventually going to be a Yankee anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm taking that deal.
I know you are.
You're not getting Bieber, but yeah, I'll take that deal right now, no doubt about it.
As an Indians fan, I might as well get something for him because we lost Lindor and got nothing.
Pitchers in this sport.
All right, speaking of making a move here, if the Nationals become sellers at the deadline, perhaps Max Scherzer will be a top target. He's a free agent after this season, as you know. He's looked spectacular. On Wednesday, struck out 9 in 6 scoreless innings to move up to number 21 all-time in career strikeouts. Now, in the Nats' first game of the season, he gave up 4 homers to the Braves. Since that game, he's given up 1 earned run in his last 3 starts. What have you seen from the 3-time Cy Young Award winner thus far?
Yeah, what I saw tonight was a pitcher that sent a message to Jacob deGrom. You better not let up because I'm going to be in this Cy Young conversation with you all year. Max is fine. He's healthy, and he's back, and he's pinpoint controlling. You saw him on the black on the inside. He gets him to chase on that breaking ball on the outside. Max is completely back. And know this about the Nationals. Mike Rizzo's not going to sell with this team. Not after just being 2 years removed from a world championship, but that was a team that was horrible at the end of May and then just played so hot at the end of the year that slow starts are not going to phase Mike. Now, the one concern we do have, Steven Strasburg's on the IL with a shoulder. That's bothersome. And when I text Mike Rizzo this morning to ask him about the seriousness of Juan Soto, you know, he wasn't as optimistic as Dave Martinez was, the manager, in his press conference. I mean, Mike said to me, look, he's got a shoulder strain, and he said, quote, I hope it's not serious. Well, he's already seen the MRI, and after seeing the MRI, he says, I hope it's not serious. If the Nationals were to lose Strasburg and Soto, that may be the formula that gets Scherzer traded at the deadline, because then you probably have to be sellers, because this team's not winning without S squared in Sosa and Strasburg.
I'm curious what it would take for a deal like that. I know we're far removed from that. I know we're ways away. I'm curious what that would take from, let's say, the Yankees side of things, right? I mean, what are you giving up to get Scherzer?
Well, you're going to have to give up controllable prospects. You know, you're not going to do Dominguez, but certainly Deivi Garcia would be the first name that's got to go back to the Nationals in a package, even though it would only be a 2-month rental. And remember, you know, if the Nationals were to fall out of it and they were to trade Scherzer, doesn't mean they couldn't re-sign him in November and do what the Yankees did with that Chapman-Torres deal a few years back.
Yeah, and that I'll remind you, as you know, in 2019 they went 19-31 and then won the World Series. So I mean, stranger things have happened, and certainly. And I guess if you're a Yankee fan at this point, right now you got to stay relevant to try to stay in the race, and then root for the Nationals to be terrible so that you can maybe make a deal for Max Scherzer. Well, we'll see about that.
And keep this in mind too, real quick, Hakeem. You know, when you look at the American League East, it's mediocre because all 5 teams have serious starting pitching problems. It's not just the Yankees. I mean, what do the Orioles have to have after John Means? Tampa Bay is really missing Snell and Morton. They've got Glasnow and a lot of question marks. You know, now they're thinking maybe Fleming is the answer. But you look at the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, after Hyun-Jin Ryu at the top, again, yes, Matz has pitched great. But after those 2 guys, a lot of question marks. So it's not just limited to the Yankees. This is going to be a very interesting race because we have great offensive teams with the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and eventually the Yankees. But pitching is going to be a real question mark for all of those teams.
Well, for now, Yankees in last place in the AL East. Worst 17-game start since 1991. Jim Bowden breaking down for us here on CBS Sports.